you can hear me with the microphone, this entire live is educational purposes only. I am not selling anything. I am not sponsored by these companies. This is all just curriculum that I have on hand. Entertainment purposes only, not selling anything, nothing. So you're going to hear me say that like over and over again, because every time I hold up a piece of curriculum, I get flagged. They think I'm trying to sell it. No affiliation with these companies. You will see some of my videos that I have of specific curriculums. You'll see a little sponsored tag on it. That's totally different. That's just a brand deal that they paid me for that specific video. My lives, however, no sales, not selling anything, not promoting anything, just curriculum that I have on hand. I've got our old curriculum. I save everything. So even if a curriculum doesn't work for us, I save it anyways, because I know people have questions about it. People want to ask about it. So I have everything, even the good and the beautiful. I still have the good and the beautiful back there. And yes, I am still in the homeschool shed. As you can see, it's still, we don't have walls up. We have insulation, but not the walls. But no. And so when I hold something up, like sometimes I have to do it, like put it down, hold it up, because if I hold something up for too long, I think whoever monitors this stuff, thinks that I'm selling. Nothing is being sold. So that little tag that says right there, educational purposes only, literally, that's all this is. I am just yapping about all the different curriculum we've tried, not selling anything. How do you know what your kids need to know and what extra things to teach other than the curriculum? So first thing is to find out your state standards. So remember when everything was switching over to Common Core? The idea behind Common Core was that every single state in the United States of America was going to have the same exact standards. So if little Johnny moves from Florida to North Carolina, he's not behind or ahead. Everybody was going to have the same standards. Well, that went downhill very quickly. The Common Core was not a good idea, they realized. Not every state should not be treated the same. It should be the state's decisions. So then states went back to their original state standards, as we call it. So depending on the state that you're in, you're going to just simply Google Florida math state standards for third grade. I personally like to use a program called IXL, those three letters, IXL, and they actually, for free, you don't even have to pay for this part, on their website, and I think Time for Learning has this as well, they have a page specifically for your state standards, meaning you could just go to IXL's website. I think it's like a tab that says, check your state standards, whatever, and it has everything broken down. That's going to tell you exactly what your kid needs to learn year after year after year. Now, if you just want to go with the curriculum itself, like all the teacher's guides and things that have what we'll call like a scope and sequence, it's basically just the plan for the year. That's going to cover pretty much every standard for whatever state you're in. That's the funny thing about the state standards is it really doesn't matter what state you're in. They're all very similar. So like what Floridian third graders need to know in math is going to be very similar to what kids in Washington in the third grade. They vary slightly. Homeschool curriculum, however, no matter what curriculum you use, they're not going to adhere to a specific state. These are just going to be like a blanket general list of standards that they're covering for that grade level, which I personally like. So no matter what curriculum you go with, your teacher's guide, it's going to tell you everything to say. It's going to tell you everything to do. It's going to tell you everything to teach, what they need to know, when they need to know it. So you don't have to worry about going and memorizing all the state standards unless you want to, right? Even me as a former teacher, I never memorized the state standards. After teaching the same grade level for so many years, hey, Rachel, after teaching the same grade level for so many years, I eventually started to kind of memorize the standards, but you do not need to do that, especially when you homeschool. Your teacher's guide's going to have everything. Doesn't matter what curriculum you use. This one is Christian-led education. That's the one you see me post about all the time. I'm not sponsored, affiliated, nothing. Educational purposes only. I have to keep saying that. But the teacher's guide is going to tell you everything. What was the website? That's IXL. It's just three letters, IXL. Sarah, why are you giving me a sad face? Did I miss something? IXL. Yes, I'm in the homeschool house. Homestead husbands. Yes, so I am so sick of going live week after week and not having anything exciting to show you in this shed because I feel like we're not making the progress that I want to make. But you also have to remember my husband, who I love and appreciate so much. He has like zero experience. He just recently learned how to use certain tools in here. He's doing everything just through YouTube. So we've got the closet, we've got the bathroom, we're closing in the walls, and then we're finally starting to get some actual walls that we got the insulation in. And then that's that bead board that we're using as the walls, but we're going to paint it white. There is somebody here. Oh my gosh, I'm so sad that I can't remember her name. Oh, what is her name? There's a girl here on TikTok who has a homeschool shed as well. And she used the bead board for her walls and painted it white, and it looked really, really good. And I cannot, Bailey, maybe something? I don't know. I'll remember it at some point. Okay, so Rachel, do you recommend only using language arts for Christian Light? So I used to do both. Okay, I used to do the reading and the language arts. What you saw here, this is the language arts. The reading program, hold on, I got all my curriculum down here. Let me show you. Let me show you the difference between the teacher's guides. Again, educational purposes only. Look, I can't even find it, but I'll show you this one. They have reading and they have language arts. I used to do both. So you would like do your reading lesson first and then you go into your language arts lesson. It took us so long. So I basically decided we're going to not do the reading because there was a lot of overlap. Like what your kid is learning in language arts, they do a lot of review in the reading as well. And I didn't think we really needed to double up. So now we do our language arts little light unit lesson for the day. And then we do what you see here, 5 in a row. We read a story together and then we do like fun activities from this curriculum. So I'm using Christian Light Education for language arts, and then we go into 5 in a row and we do our fun activity for the day. Science, social studies, sometimes just specific reading activity. But feel free to use the reading and language arts together for Christian Light. It's a lot of work, especially as they get older. It's like 5 pages in each workbook per day. It just was like taking us forever. 5 in a row is actually pretty affordable. Yeah, to be honest with you, when I first started researching 5 in a row, this teacher's guide right here is $50. And I thought that was crazy. I'm like, why? Actually, look at that. It says it right there. I don't think I'm allowed to show barcodes, but real quick, entertainment purposes only. $50 for this one workbook, for this teacher's guide. But this is literally all you need for the entire year. Like every activity is in there. The worksheets are in there. All you have to do is get the books that you read from, and you can go to library. I went to the thrift store and found a lot of them. So really $50 for an entire year, and then you just got to go find the books, really isn't that bad for 5 in a row. Widowed military father of 7, and I have been online schooling my kids with K-12. How do you like it? Tiny Tavella. I have a few families that use the K-12 that I do homeschool evaluations for. And I've got families that absolutely love it, and I've got families who hate it. It seems like a mixed bag. Rachel, so in the 5 in a row teacher's guide, now this is volume 1. There's all different volumes, right? Hey, Michelle, thank you. All the volumes, but I have volume 1 here. They have a list in the front of all the books that you need to get for your lessons. The cool thing is you do not have to get them all at once. You can, get them on a weekly basis. Just go to your library, check them out at the library. They're all classic, well-known stories. So it's not like you're searching for, some rare story that's hard to find. Some of these classic stories are no longer in print. A lot of these classics were written in like the 40s, which I personally think is cool, but sometimes it's hard to find. Here's the book list. I know it's backwards. I'm sorry. For volume 1, I think there's 19 titles, and you don't even have to go in this order. Like you could just pick and choose and mix it up however you'd like. And maybe this takes you a full year. Maybe it takes you, 2 years. This is like very flexible. Now, I don't know if I would use this as my sole curriculum. Like I prefer to use a language arts curriculum on its own and a math curriculum on its own, and then just use 5 in a row for all the extra stuff. Yeah, Rachel, you just can skip around. Like, for example, the book list had some holiday stories in the list, and because we just had the holidays, I decided to pull those stories and put those in for December, and you can do it in whatever order you want. Charity, have you ever tried Rod and Staff? I have not, but I spent a lot of time with them at the homeschool convention in Florida, And that curriculum, I would say, is very comparable to Christian Light. It gives you the same vibe. Like, this is a Mennonite community. That's why you see like they have specific clothing, specific traditions. Rod and Staff, I don't know if they're specifically Mennonite, but it's like something different like that. Very old school, traditional way of teaching. I really liked that with them, you don't have individual workbooks. You actually just have a textbook that your kid writes on notebook paper, like old school math textbooks where they look at the problem in the book, write it down on a piece of notebook paper. I don't know why we didn't end up going with it. I think Christian Light I liked the workbooks, but it looked good to me. I just haven't personally used it. And for science and history, like Charity, you're asking about science and history. I am using 5 in a row to cover my science and history. But like yesterday, we did a weather activity where we picked a region of the world and we went on the little Weather Underground app and we looked up the weather. But it's not like a systematic science curriculum where you're hitting specific standards. Eventually, if you use this curriculum long enough, you'll probably, hit all the standards. But it's more like fun. In terms of like a legitimate science curriculum, I have struck out with all of the ones that I've tried. Abeka Science with the online videos and then you go into your workbooks, that one was really good. I liked that one a lot. It's just so expensive. So I recommend Abeka. Also, Apologia is a good one. I haven't personally tried it, but I just hear good things about it. And then if you don't want faith-based, because when you're searching for science curriculums, you guys, please be so careful. If you want an evolutionist point of view about the creation of the world and whatnot, you need to be looking for secular science curriculums. If you want a Christian worldview, creationist point of view of how everything was created, you're going to want to look for a faith-based science curriculum. With math and language arts and those other subjects, you can get away with mixing and matching, but science is that one that's really tricky. Like, if you want your kid learning a certain way, then you need to look into the curriculum that you're choosing for that. And it's a shame. Sometimes you'll fall in love with a curriculum and, like, I've done it. You're ready to swipe your card. You're ready to buy it. And then you realize, ooh, this is a secular curriculum. I wanted faith-based, or vice versa. So look into that first. My kids, Lucy, I have a 3rd grader, a 1st grader, preschooler, and a 1-year-old. All girls. Rod and Staff is very thorough, great classroom style, can be used for multiple students. That is appealing to me. And are you saying, because it's like a textbook, right? So you can just use it year after year after year, versus with these light unit workbooks, they're writing directly in the book. And so you should, look at this, actually. This is a perfect example. When you use Christian Light, this is gonna be your life. Look at those light units. Those are all light units that I saran wrapped that my kids have finished. Could I get rid of them? Technically, yes, but like I feel that's all their hard work. I feel weird just throwing away all their work throughout the years. So that's one downside to having all these individual workbooks, is it's a lot of storage. By the way, Christian Light does have a textbook option. I've just never used it. And if you see look at this. Have you guys seen this? So I want you to look at this and then look at this, okay? Just look at that and then look at that. This is the exact same program. The inside is exactly the same. This is their old cover that I love. And then this is the new cover. They tried to like modernize, I guess, or make it more appealing, like shelf appeal. And it makes me sad because I feel like they kind of went back on their traditional values and the things that they were proud of that they put into their curriculum. And then this is like, modern, worldly, whatever. Anyways, if you see this, it's the same program, Learning to Read program. It's just their covers now have like photographs on them. Tina, I am doing Mia Academy for my 3rd and 7th grade, and now I want a faith-based similar. Yeah, Tina, we used Mia Academy for a little while as well. It was okay, but if you're looking for online, like a fully online program that is also faith-based, if your kid is over 3rd grade or above, there's one called Monarch, and that is through AOP. So the same company that makes Horizons and Life Pack, which is the Bible curriculum that you see me use, those little purple workbooks. It's called Monarch, same company, AOP, but the program is called Monarch. That's a fully online, faith-based homeschool online curriculum that starts at 3rd grade and goes all the way till graduation. Abeka as well. Abeka has an online, hey Rebecca, Abeka has an online program that is phenomenal. I just couldn't afford it anymore. It's just so expensive, but it is fully online and it's faith-based. BJU Press is another faith-based online one that we tried. I didn't particularly care for, but a lot of people love it, so you could look into that. Time for Learning is secular. So if you are looking for a fully online, non-religious homeschool curriculum, Time for Learning or Mia Academy would both be ones that do not have any kind of faith component, no religious, nothing. Master books. Okay. Hold on. I want to go back to these comments. So I have not personally used master books. I did spend a lot of time with them at the homeschool convention. I have a little flyer here that I'm looking for. I thought they looked really cool. I liked the way that master books was set up. It looked good. But then my very best friend switched to master books for language arts with her oldest, and she felt like her kid kind of regressed. Like it wasn't, she didn't like it. She didn't think it was good. So I'm kind of biased in that, you know, my best friend just went through it. She's a very competent, smart homeschooling mom, and she just didn't feel like it was good. So I'm biased. I haven't personally used it though. Julie, do I have a timeline for the homeschool shed? So every dollar that I make on any of my social medias goes into a homeschool shed bank account, and we're pulling from that. So basically what we're doing is like we bought all of the installation, and then that depleted the account. And then we had to wait, you know, for me to make more money on here and then get to buy all the wood. And so everything is taking forever. It's being done in all these stages. But I am hoping to have it done in the spring, like April, like my birthday. That would be a great birthday gift. Any recommendations for 1st grade? I hate my curriculum. I've tried so many different 1st grade curriculums specifically because 1st grade is when we ended up fully switching to Christian Light Education after trying a million different things. Do not recommend Good and the Beautiful. It did not work for us. If it works for you, great, but that is not one that I recommend. Christian Light Education is the one you keep seeing me show on camera. Abeka is another one, which is really expensive. Horizons for the younger years, like the Horizons is good. This one, I'm going to show you what it looks like right here. Like this would be a kindergarten math book for Horizons. That's what it looks like. It's very colorful, and it's only one front and back worksheet a day compared to Christian Light Education math, which is like 3 to 4, sometimes 5 pages a day in these younger years. So if you want something that just like gets right to the point, quick practice, Horizons I think is a good option. The only downside to Horizons is that they only go to 3rd grade. And then usually when your kid finishes 3rd grade with Horizons, people switch them over to the Life Pack program, which is also through AOP, the same company. Oh, Rachel, you guys have accomplished so much within the last year. Remember when you first started posting? I know. I get so frustrated because I feel like it's taking us forever to finish this shed and do all the things. But then, yeah, I have to like take a step back and realize how far we have come and to just like calm down. Yeah, Caitlin, Horizons is pretty cheap on the price spectrum. And this is one, educational purposes only. I don't get commission. I don't get paid, nothing. But there is a code for them. You'll see in my thing up there that I can't say out loud because TikTok will flag me. But there's a code that you can use to get even more off, less. Do I get alone time? Yes, I wake up very early in the morning. I try to wake up at 6, and the kids usually wake up around 7:30, so I get that time. Right now, like I do my lives at 3 p.m. because that is when the baby and my 3-year-old are napping, and then my 2 oldest are just in the house with my husband. He works from home, so I can escape. And then, yeah, I find time alone, but I'm with my kids most of the time. Horizons and Math with Confidence is a great math curriculum that is affordable. I have not tried Math with Confidence, but that is one that I keep hearing about like over and over and over. How do you adjust to waking up so early? Honestly, just once you start doing it and you realize like how nice it is to be up before the kids and not feeling stressed out, I feel like it just becomes a natural internal alarm clock. But then there are weeks where we sleep in, and then it like jacks up my whole schedule. But you eventually just do it. You just force yourself to do it. Okay, extras for a kindergartner. So when my kids are young, like that kindergarten area level, we like to use different apps. So there's one called Reading Eggs. Such a weird name, but it's a reading, and they also have a math program on there. Splash Learn is a good online learning program. The IXL program, that one that I said you could go look up your state standards on, that's a good one. I just had my first grader on that one the other day because she was struggling with addition and subtraction out of nowhere. Like literally forgot what a plus sign looked like. I couldn't believe it. So we got on IXL and we just practiced a bunch of addition and subtraction problems just to refresh her memory. What about when the whole house is sick? Yeah, I'm not kidding you when I tell you we have been sick since the beginning of November, because it's like when the last person gets it, the first person who's already over it gets hit with something else. And then it makes its way through the house. It's like a cycle and it's never ending. And the more kids we have, the longer we stay sick because it's more people in the house. We pushed through though. Like we continued to do school, even laying in the bed together. Like, here, let's do your word flashcards while we're laying in the bed or whatever, because I was paranoid about falling behind. But I just could not believe how long it took us this sick season. And I pray to God, like, that was the end of it, because if we get hit with another thing, I'm going to go crazy. Okay, I have not tried All About Spelling, but I just had a friend of mine, another mom up here in North Carolina, tell me that she's going to start All About Spelling with her kiddo. And the All About Reading program is really good. So I'm assuming the All About Spelling program is going to be good as well. Okay, the self-defense. So I am fully enrolled in jiu-jitsu now. So I do jiu-jitsu 3 days a week. Well, there's kind of a filter on, but look at the bruises. You see the bruises on my neck? Look at this. I don't know if I can like show you, but there's a huge bruise on my arm. Anyways, that's beside the point. But yeah, so that is the self-defense classes that we started taking after that crazy experience that everybody heard about. And I'm not carrying, actually. I can't carry because I don't have a North Carolina driver's license. I still have my Florida driver's license, so I can't go register. But because I'm former military, there's like a little bit of wiggle room there. So I eventually will be carrying, even though we are in jiu-jitsu, you know, that you can't out jiu-jitsu somebody that's carrying. What about reading and spelling curriculum? So this is important. Some people like to use, I'm dropping everything. Some people like to use a separate curriculum for every little piece. Like this is our spelling curriculum. This is our grammar curriculum. Abeka is like this. There's spelling, there's grammar, there's phonics, and everything is separated, okay? I personally like to use what's called a language arts curriculum. So language arts is where it combines all of that into one. So this is our spelling, our grammar, our phonics as well. Even though it's 3rd grade, we're still doing phonics. Sentence structure, parts of speech. What this is not, though, is reading comprehension. So that is why a lot of people will do a separate reading curriculum and then a language arts curriculum. I personally just like to have it all in one. So in this one, every curriculum is kind of similar in the sense that they'll give you like a spelling list each week, but I'll show you how they do it with this. These are the spelling lists for each, they call it a section. So there's the spelling words, and then these same spelling words, they cut them out. You can see she cut out her list for this week. We hang it on the refrigerator. We practice her words every week. Spelling has been a struggle for her, but she's doing so much better. The spelling list is in the back, and then the actual lessons that they do within the curriculum include the spelling and the grammar. Like just today, I'll show you our lesson today. The 3rd grade is so much fun. I feel like she's so mature now in the 3rd grade. So today we worked on sentence fragments, or sentence or fragments. So she had to decide, is it a sentence? Is it a full, complete thought? Or is it just a fragment? So that's your language arts. Spelling is included, grammar is included, it's all included in one. The good and the beautiful, please be careful. If you are using the good and the beautiful, we used it for a full year, and it was not good for us, but they call theirs, I'll show you, hold on. Look, Now this is the old, not updated cover. That's why this looks different. So with The Good and the Beautiful, it says language arts and literature, meaning this is your language arts and your reading all in one. Even though that sounds good, like, ooh, I don't have to have a separate reading curriculum. Be careful, because you're trying to tell me that this is a full year. Look at the thickness of this book. This is a full year of all your grammar, spelling, phonics, and reading. You definitely feel like you, or at least me personally, felt like I was lacking when we were using this one, compared to with Christian Light, the language arts and the reading are separate. A lot of curriculums have them separate, actually. How do I know the curriculum is enough? So I personally test my kids. Maybe I over-test, whatever, but I test them 3 times a year. I test them all different ways. So I pay the money to do like the big national testing called MAP, M-A-P. I just pay $60. I take it at home, get the scores back. It'll tell me if they're on grade level. I also do the IXL diagnostic test. I do that one like multiple times a year. That'll tell me if they're on grade level for all the subjects. And then the other one is called Iowa, IOWA test. Again, I pay the money, take the test at home. Their scores will tell me if they're on grade level or not. Now, we've been pretty consistent with our curriculum, and my kids have been above grade level every time we test. But if I ever see them start to slip, like maybe their vocabulary skills were really strong last year and then all of a sudden their test scores are showing that they've dropped, that would tell me maybe the curriculum we're using isn't enough. But most of the time, if you're one-on-one with your kid, no matter what curriculum you use, they're gonna benefit from that. Compared to being in a class of like 25 kids, even if they were in a class of 25 kids and the teacher was using the best curriculum in the world, they're still not getting that one-on-one attention, so the curriculum doesn't matter as much. The environment just sucks. Homeschooling, you could be using the shittiest curriculum ever and still getting that one-on-one time, so they're still gonna benefit more, in my opinion. So I wouldn't worry about too much like, oh my gosh, is the curriculum enough? But do the testing just to see. And when you do the national testing that I'm talking about, the MAP test, the Iowa test, you can just keep those scores to yourself. If you're not in a state that requires you to submit those test scores, don't feel like just by taking the test, oh my gosh, now my kid's on file, it's on record. It's not like that. It's only if you submit the test scores to your state that they're gonna know where your kid is at. Now, if you're in a state that requires you to submit test scores, obviously you don't have a choice. What does Step Up cover the test? Yes, Tina. And as a matter of fact, if you're in Florida and you're on the Step Up program, the MAP test that I was just talking about, that one is direct provider. You can buy it right off the Marketplace website. The Iowa test, the IXL might even be direct provider, but you just get reimbursed. So the money you pay for the test, Step Up program will reimburse you. If you're not in Florida and you're in a state like me, North Carolina now, that doesn't have any homeschool support, then you're just gonna pay out of pocket. It is worth it to me. Like IXL, the diagnostic test that I'm talking about, I think I paid $130 for the year, and I can take the diagnostic test as often as I want, and it covers math and reading. And that's for 2 kids, $130 a year. So Texas requires a good citizen subject. What would you recommend for that? I know, isn't that so bizarre? Like I would think that, honestly, that I got stuff everywhere. The 5 in a row, I don't know how. Texas is like kind of lax with their laws, but you're right. You are supposed to be doing good citizenship. With this 5 in a row, the daily lessons that you can choose from, they have a lot of social study. Like you can see I star the ones that I like. They have a lot of social studies lessons that you could spin into good citizenship lessons. And then you could even argue that the stories you're reading along with this are teaching good citizenship. But if your state is requiring like specifically like Texas laws and becoming familiar, like Florida has something weird like that, like Florida history. When they're in 4th grade, they have to learn Florida history. Then that's different. But I'm just talking, if you just need good citizenship, like general, then you could social studies, read books together, talk about it, whatever, watch videos. Yeah, the pledges, etc., learning the state flags or your personal state flag. As a matter of fact, I'll show you guys. So this, what I was just showing you that I use for 5 in a row, like where we read the story and we do an activity together. Not only are we learning geography, look at what we just did the other day. We read a story about a little girl who traveled all around the world looking for ingredients for her apple pie. And then we learned about each country's flag. So you got Italy, France, Sri Lanka. We did those state flags. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we're incorporating the geography with our daily reading. It's not a separate geography curriculum where, you know, I have to put out a whole nother 30-minute block of time. And then this too is science. So like this day we talked about nutrition, right? We read a story and then we talked about nutrition. Now these little worksheets that you see in this journal, that's all in that teacher's guide, right? You just put it on your copy machine, make a copy, and then I have them cut it out and glue it into their little journals, but you totally don't have to do that. A free diagnostic assessment. Okay, I don't honestly know of a totally free, legitimate diagnostic test, but I will tell you that that diagnostic test that we use, IXL, I told you I paid like $130 for a year. You can actually just pay like the $20 a month, not do the yearly plan, take the diagnostic test and then cancel. That's what I used to do. I didn't want to like join and subscribe, so I just paid the monthly thing, took the test and canceled. What would you recommend for 4th and 5th? Oh, and you're using a Becca. I usually recommend a Becca because I love it. But if you think it's a curriculum issue, then exploring different options would be my first thought. But if you've been consistently using a Becca and you're saying that your kid is struggling, I would wonder if maybe there's some gaps in the earlier years, like even way back to 1st or 2nd grade, that maybe going back a grade level, kind of filling in those gaps would help. Because to me, when we used a Becca, it was a lot of work, but it was like so good. The curriculum was so good. It's just so expensive. Oh, IXL is free for public school kids. Yes. So when I was a teacher, IXL was like the program that we used for our tutoring sessions. Somebody did just recently comment on a video of mine though, and said that IXL, some local libraries offer it for free. So look into that as well. Can you recommend something for language arts? Oh, you're using Logic of English. So people ask me about Logic of English and I haven't personally used it, but this one is my go-to language arts. Like, you will have to pry this out of my cold dead hands. Like, I will never leave this one. Once they get into like the high school, even late middle school, early high school, we'll probably switch to some kind of online program because I'm not trying to teach like all the high school level stuff. But right now in the elementary years, this is Christian-led education. That's what the logo looks like. I'm not affiliated. I'm not associated. I'm not getting paid for this. No, nothing. Entertainment purposes only. I have to keep repeating that. Christian-led education is the one that we use. Horizons, if you have a younger kid, that's the one I was showing earlier. Horizons is also pretty good. I will warn you though that we use the Horizons phonics program for kindergarten, and it was like very, very fast. Like, I felt like it was kind of throwing a lot at them all at once. So we actually stopped this program, Horizons Kindergarten Phonics, and that's when we moved into this one with Christian Light, the Learning to Read program, which is this program is technically considered the beginning of 1st grade. I start that program with mine when they're 5. Any tips to help him while he finishes the school year? Katie, were you just telling me about the Abeka? I gotta go. These comments are going so fast. I can't even keep up. But I think if you were the one talking about the Abeka, I can't even scroll up and find out. Or are you talking about helping through the end of the year in school, in public school? Also, if your kid is in public school, private school, doesn't matter. All these tests that I keep telling you about, these diagnostic tests, these national standardized norm reference tests, whatever you choose, you can take those even if you're not like a fully homeschooling family. Like, if I had my kid in public school right now, I would probably purchase some of these national tests for like the $60 to test them at home. Because let me tell you, when I was a teacher, when it is test day, especially if it's a computer-based test, you're bringing 25 kids into a computer lab. They're all sitting down at their computer and they're taking this test, and you as the teacher, you're trying to walk around and make sure everybody is like, not just clicking around, and you've got little Johnny over here having a meltdown. You've got, Susie over here tapping away and making noise. It is very difficult for your kids test scores to show some like accuracy, validity, reliability when they're in an environment like that. So even if your kid is in school, you can still do your own testing at home in a quiet area where you can actually watch them to make sure they're not just clicking around, and get more accurate test scores that way. Now, you can't bring those test scores to the teacher and be like, oh, well, you said Johnny scored a 200, but at home he scored a 300. Obviously, the test scores are just going to be for your eyes only. You can't try to override the school test scores with your own, but it's good for you to know. Christian Light has an assessment for placement. Yes, so with this program, with Christian Light Education, no matter what grade level you use, they do have placement tests on their website, and I highly recommend doing it, because if your kid is in 3rd grade in the school system and you pull them out and you say, okay, I'm going to use Christian Light, I'm going to go order the 3rd grade because they're in 3rd grade, you're going to like be very disappointed because you're going to waste your money. You're probably going to have to go back a grade level, because a lot of homeschool curriculums are going to be about a year ahead. Christian Light especially. So they do have placement tests on their website. I have a video on my TikTok, I think, TikTok or YouTube, where I'm like showing you how to do the placement test. And that will tell you like, hey, you thought your kid was in 3rd grade, but actually you need to get them the 1st grade level. And don't freak out if that happens. Just put them in the level that they're supposed to be in, and you'll eventually catch up. Always go back a grade level if you need to. And if your kid is in school and they're really struggling in 3rd grade math, for example, then at home, do 2nd grade math, do 1st grade math. There's all kinds of online programs you can use to like that IXL program. You keep hearing me talk about it. Again, I'm not sponsored. I have no affiliation with any of these companies, but that is one that we've been using that I am so impressed with. Okay, so do you recommend more than Christian Light for kindergarten? So the kindergarten program with Christian Light, I know it, like when you see it, you're like, is that it? Do I need to do more? You do not. This kindergarten program, there's kindergarten 1 and there's kindergarten 2. This is the Christian Light kindergarten. Again, the covers might look different because they updated their covers. When you do this, it feels very babyish. And you're like, my kid already knows this. They already know their letters. They already know their colors. But stick with it and just trust the process, because they go from this, kindergarten 1 and 2, to that learning to read program I just showed you. And so many little things that we did in this program translate right into this one. And even though when I was doing this program, I was like, this is too easy. Just do it. Just stick with it and trust the process. I promise you, you will thank yourself later. And then again, if you get to the end of the day and you feel like we didn't do enough with this, keep in mind the teacher's guide has all kinds of extra activities. Some people think with Christian Light Education, like, oh, you just do your light unit and then you're done. Like, just here's your light unit activity, go do it. But if you look in your teacher's guide, there are so many little activities that you're actually supposed to be doing with your kids on a little whiteboard or little flashcard drills and stuff that a lot of people totally skip over because they're not looking in the teacher's guide. I always look in the teacher's guide to see like what's going along with this lesson. So you feel like I can start at K1 Christian Light for a 4-year-old? Yes, we did. I'll show you. Let me just, I think I can show you. Look. Okay, this is what we did with my 4-year-old. We started her with this program when she was 4. Okay, now this is kindergarten 2. Hey, Ashley, thank you. Let me see if I can find you a kindergarten 1, because I want you to see how gentle. Here we go. Kindergarten 1. Super basic. We started her when she was 4. It goes through colors. They do a little art palette. This is like the first couple lessons. And then there's, look, I know my colors. This is what I'm saying. It seems more like pre-K-ish, which is why I start them with this at age 4. They do eventually get into the letter sounds and the numbers and, you know, the more, I will call it more challenging stuff, but it starts very, very, very gentle. That's why I start them at age 4. Right, here's another one. I know my colors, yellow, green, very, very basic. I'm trying to find a letter activity that we did, but it's not in here. Monarch is not accredited, and in Florida, it does not matter. So if you are looking for an accredited program where you get a diploma at the end of it, Monarch is not, but the AOP does have an accredited program. It's called Ignite Christian Academy. That one is accredited. You'll get a diploma at the end. A CELIS Academy is accredited. You get the diploma at the end. A Becca Academy, if you go the accredited route, you get the diploma. But in the state of Florida, actually in almost all states, I think, you do not have to use an accredited program, but it is convenient. Like if you got a high schooler and you don't want to deal with doing their transcripts and ordering their diploma and doing that all on your own, just get an accredited program. Accredited just means that an educational institution of some sort kind of is overseeing the curriculum, and if you finish it and you've submitted all your work to them, they give you the stamp of approval and you get the diploma from them. Do you think Christian Light kindergarten curriculum will help? He mainly struggles in English. Yes, this, especially, again, like I said, there's kindergarten 1 and there's kindergarten 2. You start with kindergarten 1, then you go into kindergarten 2. That kindergarten 2 level is really where it picks up speed with the letter sounds and understanding, 2 letters together make a sound together, and, your basic phonics skills. But with my oldest daughter, we didn't even use this program. We went right into the Learning to Read program after the Good and the Beautiful disaster, and she did very well. Spelling, Tanya, that's all included in our language arts curriculum that we use. So I don't have a separate spelling curriculum that I use. This language arts has spelling, grammar, phonics, writing. Like today we did a writing activity. You get, your editing sentences, putting periods where periods need to go, capitalizing things. All the writing and spelling skills are in the language arts. Yes, this is Christian Light education. The Good and the Beautiful math, Kylie, was the worst. It was the worst. I didn't like their language arts or their math, but the math I really hated. And on my, no, it's not on a playlist. There are many videos here on TikTok and YouTube where I am showing you the math curriculum. I have it here actually. And I'm showing you basically how bad it is. So like this is our math curriculum. You can see we used it. We used it for the full year. I'm not just talking out of my bottom. Like I have experience with it. And my problem with the Good Beautiful math is they do not get hardly any independent practice. Like now that I'm used to Christian Led education, she's getting like 5 pages of practice a day. Some people feel that's too much, and I totally get it. This though was like, it's like 1 page front and back maybe. And then this is also your teacher's guide. So with the Good and the Beautiful, the work your kid does is in the same book that you're talking from. So you can see these little directions. You're speaking to your child. This is your teaching section. And then they go in and do a little activity. And some people like that because then you don't have a million books. You don't have a teacher's guide and a workbook. Everything's just in one. And it was convenient. However, I felt like I wasn't learning how to teach my kid because it's just this one little sentence and then go off and do your activity. It was just like bounces all over the place, right? So like one day you'll be telling time, the next day you're figuring out place value. Here we were doing, what were we even doing here? Heavier or lighter. Okay, that's a developmentally appropriate skill. But then the next day we jump to even and odd. That's the very next lesson after that. So it's a spiral-based curriculum, which means you're supposed to bounce around like that, but it was like too spiral. Like it took forever to go back to the original concept. My kid was forgetting everything. But every kid is different and every family has different needs. Kids learn differently. This works for a lot of people. It was not good for us. And by the way, some people might be in this live right now. This curriculum right here, I'm not even going to say it out loud because I don't want to get, slander or whatever. Whenever I say something negative about this, you can go on my YouTube right now. YouTube is the worst, but you'll see it on Facebook and TikTok too, and Instagram. If I dare say anything against this, there is a weird, I don't know if it's bots that somebody paid for to like attack people that are speaking poorly of this, but there is something weird going on with like paragraphs of comments, very angry that I didn't enjoy this curriculum. And the more followers I get, the heavier it gets. Like I'm kind of hesitant to even make videos against this anymore because it's very bizarre. But yeah, go on my YouTube. I have a full video where I'm just opening the book and I'm showing you as a former teacher, here's my opinion. And the comments are weird. Bot, like, don't speak down on this curriculum type thing. I agree with you on that specific curriculum. I know what you mean. Do you think if it's bad? Oh, I'm sorry, that just went away. Oh, girl, is there anything for based on religion? I think you missed anything for based on, do you mean like a Bible curriculum? Yeah, right, Rachel? Now, now I could totally understand from a business perspective, if I am the maker of this curriculum and there is somebody with a big following who is saying, do not buy this curriculum, it will ruin your child. Like, yeah, that's a problem, right? Let people figure it out on their own. But when I'm making videos about my own personal experience, it almost makes them look worse when you see the comments, and like, it's very obvious that this is like a planned attack or whatever you want to call it. It like makes them look worse. So whatever. This is the good and the beautiful is the one that we used to use that we did not personally, I gotta say personally, like, enjoy, don't recommend it, didn't work for my family, but it does work for a lot of families. So check it out. And okay, one thing that's good about the good and the beautiful is that you can go on their website and download their curriculum and just print it out for free. And it is very beautiful. You can see they use these cute like watercolor pictures and whatever, but like the substance of the curriculum to me just was lacking. You're not bashing, you're just sharing your experience. Right. Right. But the more I get those weird comments, the more it makes me want to bash. But I'm not going to, but it makes me want to. Oh, CTC Math. CTC Math has helped my child so much. That's another one that I absolutely love, and it's super, super cheap. Was that today? I think I just posted a video today. It is a sponsored video. Yes, they did sponsor that particular video. This live is not sponsored. I don't make any money from them, nothing. But that is a good program. And we do use CTC Math. That is what, like, if my kid's struggling with something, hey girl, thanks, Dev. If my kid is struggling with something in math, which happens a lot because I suck at math, I can't teach it well, even with the teacher's guide showing me, we'll hop on CTC Math and I'll just type in like telling time, kindergarten telling time. A lesson will pop up, she'll do the questions, and it's just extra review. It's super cheap. It's like they give 50% off for homeschooling families, and all that's, I can't say it out loud, but that's all in my thing. And it's great. It's cheap, it's great, and it, I want to say they are Australian. Oh, I feel so bad if I'm wrong. Whatever. You'll notice that they have an accent when they teach in the videos. Don't let that throw you off. The actual substance of the teaching is really, really good. But sometimes the accent throws people off. Just try to push through it. Is it Australia, Rhonda? Yeah, it's like, it's so funny. Like some of the terms that they use in their lessons, my kids like rubbish, the word rubbish for garbage. It was like one of the lessons said something about rubbish. And my kid was like, what's rubbish? 6th grade math curriculum recommendation. So Anna, or anybody that's looking for specifically middle school, what I plan on doing is once my kid finishes 5th grade, I am probably going to switch to an online curriculum of some sort. That is when I'm going to start caring about tracking transcripts, classes that they're taking. 7th and 8th grade is usually around the time they can start taking pre-algebra. If your kid finishes pre-algebra, you're going to want to log that. You're going to want to have a transcript of some sort. So I probably will end up switching to an accredited program that just gives me the diploma, gives me the transcripts. I don't have to do it. And that I'm going to probably look into Acellus, Acellus Academy. It is not a faith-based curriculum. Just that is the only thing that's kind of like stopping me so far on it. But it is accredited. So middle school recommendations, if you wanted something accredited where they give you the transcripts and the diploma and everything is tracked for you. Acellus Academy is one. There's lots of accredited programs out there. Abeka Academy is also accredited, but it is like a lot of work. A lot. If you want to get a diploma from Abeka or through Abeka, I should say, just be prepared. Be prepared for a lot of work. Not any accredited program should be a lot of work, but I feel like Abeka is like an extra a lot of work. Acellus is great, but more money. I know, Rhonda, I saw they upped their prices and I'm so disappointed. But somebody did say that if you watch a weekly video on Wednesdays, they give you a discount or something, like a science thing on Wednesdays. Okay, your son is in 7th grade with a 5th grade math level. First of all, the fact that you even know that is really good. Nervous about the final test. Chris, are you homeschooling or is your kid in school? And you mean nervous about the final test? Are you talking about like at the end of the year? Do you have to submit your test scores? And what state are you in? Sorry, a million questions. Okay, you're homeschooling. And then are you in a state that requires that test at the end of the year? Did you do Christian Light Level 1 reading? Yes, I did, Amber. But okay, with my first daughter, yes. With my next daughter, she is doing Learning to Read program right now. But we are not going to incorporate Reading 1 after. I'm only going to do Language Arts 1. Because I saw, and you might be seeing this too, a lot of overlap between the reading and the language arts. And I thought the language arts was like more beneficial. So we just dropped the reading. Okay, I want to see if Chris, if you answered me. Oh, CAT test, West Virginia. Chris, okay, I'm assuming you have to submit your scores in West Virginia because you're nervous about that. So I'll give you an example. In the state of Florida, if your child is getting the Personalized Education Program Scholarship, the PEP scholarship, you are required to take the big test at the end of the year. You get to choose which one, but you do have to take some kind of standardized or norm reference test. If your child bombs that test, like your child is in 5th grade and they scored at a 1st grade level on that test, right now in the state of Florida, there's no stipulation for like what happens. It's kind of like this weird gray area. You still are required to submit your test scores, but right now they're kind of just observing. You don't have to go put your kid right back in school. I don't want to speak for West Virginia because I don't specifically know what their deal is, but a lot of states have it to where if your kid totally bombs their state test at the end of the year, it's not an immediate, you need to go back to school. Some states have like a probation period where you have a certain amount of time to get your kid back up to speed. This is one case where I would highly recommend looking into that IXL program, because any area that your kid did not do well on the test that it gives them, it will specifically give them activities every single day to get that score up. It's not random lessons every day. It's specific lessons to how they did on that initial test that they take when you sign up. That is one, like if my kid starts slipping anywhere, I'm just going to hop on there and we're going to fill in those gaps. But if you are like I said, I don't know West Virginia specifically, but like if your kid does absolutely terrible on their state testing, find some remedial programs so that way you can go to the state and be like, yeah, I know little Jimmy didn't score on grade level, but I'm doing X, Y, and Z to get him to grade level. So a lot of states are lax in that way. And keep in mind, sorry, I'm rambling. Homeschooling is exploding. It is overwhelming the school districts, as a matter of fact. Like in the state of Florida, if you didn't submit your portfolio evaluation at the end of the year, your school district would be emailing you and calling you and where is your evaluation? Well, because so many people are switching, hey Lulu, thank you. Because so many people are switching to homeschooling now, the school districts are actually getting overwhelmed with the amount of paperwork that they're receiving, that so many families are coming to me and they're like, hey, I didn't do my evaluation yet. My portfolio is overdue. The state hasn't said anything to me yet. And I'm like, dang, really? Because it used to be that they were on you. But I think they're just getting overwhelmed with the amount of people that are switching over to homeschooling right now. So all that to say is that if you are in a state that requires the testing at the end of the year, absolutely do your testing, but don't freak out. I don't think that low test score is going to be a priority for the school district right now. Once they get more like staffing in the homeschool side maybe, but just, have a plan. Have a plan to show that you're doing X, Y, and Z to get your kid back up to grade level. It requires it by August. Okay, Chris, that's good. Again, I am not affiliated with this company, nothing, but go check out IXL. Have him get on, take the diagnostic test, and then it's just like a couple activities a day online just to bump certain scores up that will help his overall score. And I think you said you're doing the CAT test, and that's the California Achievement Test. That is the one that I've been told is actually the easier one of the state tests that you can choose from as a homeschooler. So if that's any consolation. What do you recommend doing if your 4th grader absolutely refuses to read? So Abby, like anybody that's in here that has a kid that is just like, I get this question all the time. My kid refuses to do work. They refuse to, hold their pencil properly. They refuse, like that is just not an option. Like this is a discipline problem, not an academic problem. And I would just lay down the hammer. Like I am very old school in the way that I parent, and like not doing school is not a choice. Like if you don't want to read, then you're not going outside. You're not getting your TV time. You're not getting tablet. If your kid has a tablet, I take it away anyways, but whatever, hang that over their head. Now back up, because if they're refusing to read because they just don't want to, well, then that's a problem. That's not a choice. But if there might be an underlying reason why they're totally refusing to read. And it might actually have to do with confidence. And it might have to do with the fact that they don't think they're good at reading, or that's a struggle for them and they just don't want to like openly say that. Now that's a whole other ball game where you would want to maybe back up a few grade levels, fill in some gaps, figure out, what really is going on here. But if it's just, I don't feel like reading, like, no. Like we don't do that. If you're not going to do your work or you're not going to read, like too bad, so sad type thing. That's just, but I don't do the gentle parenting thing. But again, I would look deeper into why. And when you pull your kid out of school, if they've been struggling for a while, it is a weird transition. Like you're mom, but you're also teacher. And, you kind of have to be gentle to redevelop that love of learning for them, which is why I always say back up a grade level, back up 2 grade levels, 3 grade levels if you have to where they can build that confidence back up. And then you can start worrying about moving ahead and getting back on grade level. But in the beginning, you don't have to worry about that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's almost like a reverse psychology thing when you homeschool. Yes, Jeremiah, skip reading 1, that will be fine. Yeah, so let me just tell you what I do personally, and this is not what the company, like Christian Light Education does not have it designed this way, but this is what I do. We do the whole Learning to Read program, all 10 light units, and then we will add in the Language Arts Level 1. That is not how it is designed. You're actually supposed to do this along with Language Arts Level 1 together, but it just takes us so long. So we only do Language Arts Level 1. I know this is 3, but Language Arts Level 1 after we finish the Learning to Read program, and then we just keep doing Language Arts Level 2, Level 3, Level 4, Level 5, and we just don't do the reading. But if your kid's starting to struggle with reading comprehension, then you got to do something, right? So for us, we use that 5 in a row. This is that Charlotte Mason style reading curriculum. It's fun. We read a book together every day. We do a little activity, go with it. This is how I'm getting that comprehension, making sure my kid understands what they're reading. I got to do this puzzle piece thing for TikTok. Hold on. Unable to verify. Hold on a second, guys. I got to prove that I'm me, I guess. Okay. And then I have to say that this is all educational purposes only. I'm not selling anything. I'm not promoting anything. I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. I have to keep saying that. Okay, preschool. So we are using the Horizons preschool program. I have it right here. This is for 3-year-olds. So we use this when my kid, and okay, 3-year-olds do not need a homeschool curriculum. I simply get this for my kids when they're 3 because they're excited. They see their big sisters doing school. They want to sit at the table, and it's cute. Little coloring activities. This is my teacher's guide, but very, very basic. And then when they turn 4, after they finish this program, we do the Horizons preschool for 4s. So this is for 3-year-olds. It's the purple one, and this is for 4-year-olds, the blue one. And again, very, very sweet, gentle numbers and colors and animals. But once they get to about 4.5, 4.5, that is when I drop the Horizons and we move into Christian Light Kindergarten 1. And then this is our sole everything all the way through 5th grade. This one, Autism Mama, this is the one I've been using. And there's a Kindergarten 1 and Kindergarten 2. Kindergarten 1 is more like preschool level, very simple, basic. Kindergarten 2 gets more into the reading and the math and the things like that. Hey, Jess, do you find a timed approach or block approach work better? Hey, okay, so I am doing block schedule right now, which means we only do math on Mondays and we only do language arts on Tuesdays. And then so math Monday, language arts Tuesday, math Wednesday, language arts Thursday, and then Friday we do both. So they're only getting 3 days a week of math and 3 days a week of language arts, which if you're thinking like, there's no way that can be enough, I mapped out the whole year. We don't take a summer break, and it's fine. It is fine. We're going to get through the grade level just fine. We used to do all the subjects in one day. Every single day, this is our math block, this is our reading block, this is language arts, this is our science. And we were doing school all day long, and I couldn't stand it. I was like, the whole point of homeschooling is so that we don't have to do school all day long, and we can go hiking and exploring and go do play dates and whatnot. So this year I switched to a block schedule, which, by the way, I have a playlist on my page called Scheduling. And you can just go through all my videos and you'll see how much my schedule has changed over the years. It's kind of embarrassing, but whatever. This year we're doing block schedule where we're not doing every single subject each day. And it's so much better. We start school at 9:30, we finish by 12, and then it's just freedom for the rest of the day. And it is the best, the best. In the middle school years, Balderas, I am going to switch to something online. I'll probably go Acellus Academy. Time for Learning is really good. A Becca Academy if you can afford it. So many online programs out there. Beast Academy for math, CTC math, all the online programs. But middle school and high school, I don't want to teach that math. I don't even know that math myself, so I'll just use an online program for that. I find it's less stressful not doing every subject every day. Me too. It's less to plan for. Okay, so I color code my bins. I'm going to show you. So this is our math bin. This is all, now we use Christian Light. You can see that green light unit. And you can see I have all the flashcard boxes in here. And so orange is our math bin. Green is our 5 in a row bin. That's our little science, social studies, history. And then the pink is language arts. If it's a language arts day, all I have to do is grab the pink bin. It's got everybody's stuff in there. If it's a math day, I just go to the shelf and grab the orange bin. Trying to do all the subjects on the same day, it's like, okay, get the pink bin for language arts. Okay, put that away. Now I got to get the orange bin for math. And it's so much easier. Just today's a pink day. And I tell the girls, go get me the pink bin. Go get me the language arts bin. And they know. They bring me the bin. And it's just less to juggle, less to plan for. It's only a couple teacher's guides that I got to read through that day instead of like 6. So if you can homeschool year round, I recommend doing that block schedule where you're only doing math on Monday and not language arts. And then you're only doing language arts on Tuesday and not math. If you can't homeschool year round or you don't want to, it's going to be very hard to finish a whole grade level in a year if you're not doing every subject every single day. You know what I mean? But because I go year round, I have a little bit more wiggle room. Easy Peasy is a good one. And I think if you're talking about Easy Peasy all in one, is that the one you're talking about where it's free and it's online and you can print it out yourself? If that's the one you're talking about, I think that is a great resource and it's free. So why not, right? But in terms of like how rigorous it is or if it will prep them well for state testing if you have to do that, then I can't speak on that, honestly. I don't know. Did you do a video of your block schedule yet? So Tina, I'm almost certain that I have. If you go to my scheduling playlist, it would be definitely since we moved here. So it will be not in our old homeschool room that you see in a lot of my older videos, but out here in the mountains. I think I have a few videos where I'm outside talking about how we're going to do our schedule. Oh, you know what too? If you go, I also have a playlist called 5 in a row. I might have put the schedule on 5 in a row. Oh, and you know what else? I can actually show you guys. Here is literally a snapshot of our schedule, our daily schedule. I'm going to show you and it's going to be, let me flip the camera so this isn't backwards because I really want you to see this. Okay, hold on a second. Oh my goodness. Let me try to flip this camera and I'm going to show you our daily schedule. And I don't know why they don't have an easier way to flip this. Okay, I'm in the shed. I'm in the homeschool shed. Okay, so look at this. This is our daily schedule. Let me move this little guy out of the way. Okay, so you can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday across the top. Monday at 9:30, Iris and Lucy do their core work, and it's going to be math. Okay, so Monday is always math. We do Christian Light Education at 9:30. Then after they finish their Christian Light Education, math, not language arts, just math, we do our 5 in a row story. We sit down, we read a cute little book together, we do a science activity or social studies, whatever I've picked for that day. Then around 12, which is usually earlier than this, The girls sit down for lunch and I go and grade the work that they did in their core work. Because I don't have time to do it. We're trying to move into this activity here. So whatever work they did in their little light units here, I grade it during lunch. Then my older girls go outside, play. They're done for the day. And then my 3-year-old and I sit down and read her little before 5 in a row story. Okay, then she goes down for a nap, and then I pull my 2 oldest, and if they needed to correct anything that I graded earlier, they correct it later. Okay, so this is our math day. Math, language arts, math, language arts, and then we have jujitsu on Fridays. So our Friday schedule's a little bit different, okay? But that's why I color coded it like that, because I know red math, green language arts, red math, green language arts. And then you know what? If we get sick one day or whatever and we have to do, math on Tuesday instead of Monday, it's like not a big deal. Okay, so that's, and this, I know I have videos of this, and this whole planner that I have is on my, I can't say it, but click my little face up there and then it will pop up. But like I actually can email you my schedule if you want to look at it. I'm going to flip this again. So hopefully that gives you a better idea, because the block schedule is like hard to wrap your mind around until you actually do it. Yeah, Rachel, it's just simple. But you know what? Like, I don't want to freak you guys out, but if you're going to my scheduling playlist to go look up those schedule videos, you could, if you just want a good laugh, look at my earlier videos. Look at how I was scheduling my homeschool 2 years ago. It was like literally every minute of the day was planned. At 2:02, we're going to go outside and do PE. At 2:32, we're going to do this. Like, it was crazy. So over the years, I've gotten more and more lax with the schedule and not needing to plan out every single minute. And yes, Precious Allie, all the extra stuff, so the science and the social studies and the history and all that is in what we do. It's called 5 in a row. It's like we read a story together, and then the author of this curriculum has an activity for each subject that goes along with that story. And the journals that I was showing that had my kids, I don't know where it is right now, like where we were doing the flags and learning about geography and all that. Oh, here it is. Like our geography lesson was learning about the different flags of the countries that the characters in the story went around and saw. And this is a sink or float activity where we did a science experiment, dropping things into water, what sinks, what floats, what's more dense. That's all in that 5 in a row curriculum. I have not used Singapore math, but that is a reputable one. Like, that is a legit one that a lot of private schools use. I only use Christian Light for math and language arts and kindergarten, when they're in kindergarten. But no, even though I love Christian Light, it is a lot of work, and I can't imagine trying to use it for every single subject. But a lot of people do, so don't let that throw you off. I'm sorry, you might have answered, how did you like Mia Academy? So I liked it. I thought the videos were engaging. I really liked that Mia Academy had a social component. So Mia Academy has almost like where the kids can add each other as friends, and they can shop at each other's shops, and they can run their own little online business. It's super cute. But it was like after they watched the video, they go and they answer some questions. And I just felt like it was like lacking. I don't know. The videos were really, really good. There are workbooks and printables that you can do with Mia Academy to go along with the lessons that I think would really make it more legitimate. But if you're just watching the video and answering the questions, it just didn't seem like enough to me, or my kid wasn't retaining enough. Time for Learning is like that too. I really like Time for Learning, but if you don't do the printables with it, if your kid's just watching the video and answering the questions, I just feel like they're not going to really be retaining what they're learning. But that's different learning styles as well. Like, I'm a visual learner. I need to write things down. I need to see it written out, not just watch a video. Every kid is different. Robles, the geography, we're pulling geography lessons from this storybook curriculum 5 in a row. I have a playlist on my channel that goes into this. This is our first year using it. And so when I was showing you, I don't know if you were here, but like part of our geography lesson was learning about the different flags of the countries that the character in the story went to. And that was super cool. We have a globe and we put little things on the map, and that's covering our geography for now. Is it possible to do homeschool 2 days a week? I really, honestly, anything is possible. So if you think about my schedule, we homeschool every day from 9:30 to 12. That's 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours times 5 days a week is what? 10 hours a week. So we're schooling 10 hours a week. If you're only homeschooling 2 days a week, but you're doing it all day long and getting all the subjects in, then I think that you could easily cover everything you need to cover. What I would worry about only doing it 2 days a week, though, is on the days that you're off, is there any kind of review happening? Is your child actually remembering anything they learned from 5 days ago? I would just worry about like spacing out things too much if there's no review happening in between. Helen, we use the horizons, but not like the jumping around. Okay, so what are you using it for? Are you using the math and what grade? Because I struggled with horizons as well. Even though I loved that the lessons were super short, I felt like we were like moving so fast, like in this little sweet kindergarten program. It was like, bam, by the end of this first book, look, digraphs, the TH, and putting the TH with the other digraphs. And this is just book 1 of 4. So like the first couple weeks of kindergarten, we were doing some pretty heavy stuff. But this is good if your kid needs something short, sweet, colorful. But yeah, I'm curious. I'm going to go up and read the comments too because Helen, oh, you haven't responded yet. I'm a teacher and I wouldn't even homeschool my kids. I do think about starting a micro school. A lot of people ask me to start a micro school too. You can make really good money doing a micro school. But honestly, me being a teacher prior to homeschooling, I feel like has actually hindered my homeschooling journey because I was so rigid and like needing the schedule and needing things to be a certain way. And I feel like I had to unlearn a lot of my teacher stuff. And all the teacher's guides, like any curriculum you go with is going to have a teacher's guide that's going to teach you how to teach your kids. So if people are thinking like, oh, I could never homeschool because I don't know how to teach, it is all in the teacher's guides. It's going to tell you exactly what to say. And by the way, teachers, like even me, I have all the degrees, I have all the things. When I step into the classroom to teach my students, I'm also reading from a teacher's guide. I'm given a teacher's guide to read to my kids, even though I'm capable of doing it without. We are relying on teacher's guides in the classroom as well. So don't let that freak you out that you can't teach your kid. It's all going to be right here. Everything you need to say, everything you need to point to, anything you need to write on the board, it literally tells you. I worked in the school system for 13 years. Yeah, I was in for 12. And so de-school, like when I started homeschooling, a lot of people would watch my videos and I don't blame them. They would see like how rigid I was with the schedule and all the things. And people would comment and be like, you need to de-school. You need to take like a year off and just de-school. I am de-schooling while I'm homeschooling, if that makes sense. So it's not like I took a full year and stepped back and had to like reevaluate. We jumped right into homeschooling, but you can see it in my videos, how I went from being super crazy teacher type A to like trying to get a little more lax year after year. So I think the de-schooling thing is more of a process than it is like take a whole year off and de-school type thing. Because I didn't want to take a year off. I wanted to jump right in. That's my biggest unknown, how to transition from the typical teacher mentality. Giselle, it's like a blessing and a curse because like you have that teacher mindset, the lesson plans and the schedule, and it makes me a very organized homeschool mom, but it also makes me very paranoid, very controlling, very obsessive. Like, oh my God, my kid, you know what my 8-year-old did today? She spelled the word want, W-H-A-N-T. And I was like inside flipping out. Like, what? How long have we been learning this word for? Where did I go wrong? Oh my gosh, like freaking out. That's an example of like that teacher in me, like, oh my God. But when you grand scheme, big picture, is it really that big of a deal? Like sometimes I just have to step back and like calm down. And that's another reason why I love doing the state testing. I call it state testing, but the standardized testing with my kids, because when we're homeschooling day after day and I'm watching them spell these words wrong, and yesterday my 5-year-old forgot what a plus sign was, and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I teaching my kids anything? Like, am I totally screwing my kids up? But then we'll go to do the standardized testing, and that standardized test, whatever one you choose, it doesn't matter, it compares your kid to all the other kids that same age that are taking that same test. And then it puts them in a percentile, right? If your kid is in the 50th percentile for math, that means they scored better than 50% of every child that took that same test at that same age. Well, my kids are always scoring above they're like scoring in the 90th percentile. So that always helps me take a step back and be like, oh, my kids are learning. I actually am not screwing them up. But when you're in the moment and they're doing things like, how do you not know that a plus sign is a plus sign? Like, how long have we been learning that for? It freaks you out and you get in your own head. But then we do the standardized testing. They do amazing. I realize even if my kid is struggling, clearly the rest of the world is struggling too because their percentile is still really high. I'm not a teacher, but sometimes I wake up and panic that we're behind. Again, Tina, I don't know if this would make it better or worse, but if you don't already do testing, just do it. That IXL diagnostic test, it took us about an hour and a half to finish, which I know sounds like a long time, but the results that I got from that were so good. Sit with your kid when they do their standardized testing, by the way, because if they're just clicking around, it's going to seriously alter their scores. Obviously, you're not going to sit there and give them answers, but at least like I'll see my kid go to click. But okay, for example, some of these standardized test questions will say, choose 2 vowels from the list. And my kid will just click 1. And clearly she knows her vowels, but she just didn't read the directions. I will stop her and be like, read the directions. And that's all I say. I obviously don't give her any answers, but it's not fair that our kids should be scoring low on tests because they didn't understand the directions. That is not fair. So I recommend sitting with your kid. Okay, my 4th grader still struggles with multiplying and he tends to add quite a bit. So do you mean like he thinks the multiplication symbol is a plus sign, or is he using addition to figure out the multiplication? Because Jada, like with the multiplication, my 3rd grader starting multiplication right now, if they understand that multiplication is just repeated addition, like 6 times 3 is just 6 plus 6 plus 6, that is very helpful. They should know that it's repeated addition. But if they're always relying on addition, that's a problem, right? We want them to know that 6 times 3 is 18 without even having to think about it. That's where flashcards come in. So I am a freak about flashcards. I have flashcards for every single everything. This is their multiplication and division flashcards. We do these every single day. This is with the Christian Lay Education. So there's division on the back. Go to the Dollar Tree and get these. You can make your own. And memorizing with that, right? So once they understand that multiplication is repeated addition, then you can start hammering in the flashcards. If you're just having them memorize multiplication facts, but they don't understand what that even means, like, yeah, I know 6 times 3 is 18, but does that mean 6 plus 6 plus 6 or 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3? That's a problem. Don't just have them memorize their multiplication facts and not understand what's actually happening. So I like to teach them first repeated addition. 6 times 3 is 6 plus 6 plus 6. And if they know how to skip count, 6, 12, 18, that's even more helpful. Then move on to the flashcards. And you can see I have right here, this is our math bin that I was showing you guys. In this little bucket, I keep our place value blocks and then our addition and subtraction flashcards. We have sight word flashcards and phrase flashcards for language arts. I'm telling you, I do flashcards for everything. See, word flashcards. This is all her sight words. That's with Christian Led Education as well, but you can make your own. Okay, Tina, that's such a good question. She said, are you doing the math flashcards every day, even if it's not a math day? No, but I should, because like I told you, when it's a math day, we pull the orange bin and we just do math that day. When it's a language arts day, we pull the pink bin, and I don't feel like going and getting the math bin when it's a language arts day, but I think that they are getting screwed up by not doing the flashcards every single day. So even when it's not a math day, somehow, some way, I need to fit it into the schedule to where we still do the flashcards, because they're missing a whole day of math essentially when we do a block schedule, and it's hitting them with their facts. My kids, Christine, I have a 3rd grader, a 1st grader, a preschooler, and a 1-year-old. All girls, 4 girls. 8, 5, 3, and 1. Is the IXL and MAP testing the same? They are very, very similar. IXL is more informal, meaning you could just hop on IXL right now and do the diagnostic test any time of the day, doesn't matter, you just do it. And then you get your results immediately. The MAP test, you have to like order it through the company, you have to schedule the date and the time that you want to take it, you have to log in on their app and they're kind of like monitoring your computer. It's a secure browser, and then it takes 24 hours for the results to come back. But the results are very comparable. That's why I tell people just use IXL. Like IXL, you could like just do the test today. You don't have to sign up for a time and a day and all that. It's just, it's a little more lax in that sense. But in terms of difficulty, I think that they're very comparable, MAP and IXL. The Iowa test, that is another one that you order and you have to schedule a date and a time and all that, and you just do it at home. That test was more challenging, I thought. But I did like that one too, the Iowa test. Okay, so 5 in a row for grade 2. I am using volume 1. So the teacher's guide that I was showing you earlier, this right here, this is volume 1. I use this with my 8-year-old, and it's good. It's not too babyish. You could go to volume 2 if you wanted for a 2nd grader, but the way that they do it, I'll show you in the cover. Each volume of 5 in a row has an age range, ages 5 to 9. So I'm actually using volume 1 with my 8-year-old and my 5-year-old together. Then for my 3-year-old, they have an even gentler version called Before 5 in a row, and that's the one that I'm using with my 3-year-old. Sometimes, like today, my 3-year-old actually engages and does the volume 1 activities with us. She likes to sit and listen to the stories. She likes to do, we did a little drawing activity today. So I think volume 1 you'd be fine. Oh, and your 8-year-old is a November baby, like just turned 8. Yeah, volume 1, volume 1. Yes, Helen, this 5 in a row, this is something new we've tried this year. I have a whole playlist on my channel talking about it. I'm not sponsored. This is not promotional, nothing, not selling anything. But I do have a playlist that will show you kind of what this is. Basically, there's a list of books, little picture books that you're going to go to the library and grab, or you can order them online. I went to thriftbooks.com, and you're going to read the story from the list. And then every day for 5 days in a row, you read that same story 5 days in a row, and there's different activities to go with that story. So like this week, we're reading this book here. We read this together as a family, Katie and the Big Snow. It's all about a snow plow that goes around the city and does all these things. And then our activity for today was they had to write their own story about a machine that helps the city. You know what I'm saying? So like it's, you pull activities and all the activities are in here. Like I'm not just making these activities up. The author's already done that for you. You're just choosing what ones you want to do. So today we wrote our own stories about that had to do with the story that we're reading. It's super cool. It's more of like a fun curriculum. I wouldn't say it's like super rigorous like I would prepare my kid for college with it, but it's fun. And that's what we needed more of in our homeschool. Like we were way too rigid. This added some fun and like love back into our day. Your kids want to play all day. Okay. So like, I don't know if you were here earlier, but I was saying like, I'm very old school parent. Like you either choose to sit down and do school with us, or you will literally sit here all day long and we're going to go outside and play without you. And you're going to be miserable because you chose not to do your schoolwork. Like work hard, play hard. We get our work done first and then we play. It's just a matter of consistency. Also, when you have so many kids, like I have 4 kids, rotating them out, like I start with my oldest daughter first and I get her situated, make sure she understands what she's doing for the day, and then I pull my next kid. And while I'm pulling the kids individually, the rest of my kids are playing. Like, hey, while I'm working with your sister, go play. But they have to know that when it's your turn to be called to the table, like it's time. You don't get to like choose, if that makes sense. Because they will. They're young. They're meant to want to play all day. That's like the joy of homeschooling, right? That you're not just sitting in a classroom for 8 hours a day. You have time to go play and have fun. But there's, time to work, time to play. Right now, I'm in North Carolina. Yep, I do homeschool evaluations for Florida. So if you're a Floridian and you need a homeschool evaluation, I do those because that's my certification is in Florida. But I'm living in North Carolina. And both Florida and North Carolina have different state laws. So whatever state you live in, you're going to have your own set of laws, and no two states are exactly the same. IXL, somebody was asking, can be either or. So you can pay for just the one child if you just want one. I did like a family plan, or you don't even have to do a plan. You can just pay monthly. There's like a monthly price or fee or whatever. Ohio, Indiana, there's all like, if you go, the website, usually I have my laptop and we go through the laws together, but it's HSLDA, Homeschool Legal Defense Association, hslda.org. They're a good resource to look up your state laws. Even the IXL program that I keep talking about, they have a page that has the state laws. And you could always just go to your local state education website to look up your homeschool state laws. We moved out of California, and then Nicole, you said you're in New York. So New York is one of the states that does have a lot of stipulations, a lot of red tape, but totally not impossible to homeschool. And some states even have vaccination record requirements where you do have to submit your child's vaccination records, even as a homeschooling family or an exemption, whatever you have. All different weird stuff. Some states have laws where you can only homeschool your own biological child. Like I couldn't homeschool my nephew or, you know, my grandchild. There are weird laws like that, but totally depends on the state. Oh, okay, so you said you love the math workbooks for IXL. I just did a homeschool evaluation for a family who uses the IXL workbooks along with the online program. And like I said, we just started the program and I love it. So I do want to invest in the workbooks and see how those are. I love that they have both components, workbooks and the online. Because when they're just online all day, that bothers me. Like I want them to be writing or doing something instead of just staring at a computer all day. Do you suggest geography for first grade? Riley, I do infuse it. And this actually, we do a lot of geography. So this is the one that I was showing earlier where we did like the flags, right? My first grader did this with us where we, learned about the flags. We have a globe. We talk about the different countries. But it's not like we're doing geography tests. And it's not like a rigorous geography program. But I do want my kids to become familiar with geographical locations, understanding the equator and north, south. We're doing directions this week as well with the program that we're using. But I don't know if I would like go invest in a full-blown geography curriculum at that age. I would just infuse it into like the stories that you read and the things that go to museums or whatever. We just started this week. Yes, call me. Email me. If you try to message me on TikTok, it's just going to go right to whatever inbox they have set up. So I'm not going to see it. But if you email me, my email's all on my website and stuff, we can get you set up for the evaluation. I usually say email me a couple of months in advance because my schedule is like crazy. The problem is the more videos I make about doing homeschool evaluations, the more people request homeschool evaluations, which is great. I should never complain about that, but the schedule is like really loading up. So email me a couple months in advance and we can do your evaluation. And it's so easy. It's seriously, if you can just prove to me that your child made progress that year, that is all the state requires. Thank you, Amida. So Tommy, the writing skills that's all included in the language arts. So the language arts curriculum that we use has the spelling and the writing and the phonics and the grammar all in one. So when we sit down to do our language arts lesson for the day, it's a lot. We're doing a lot of skills at once, but I like that rather than having to pull out a bunch of different curriculums. And the writing with Christian Light, we're in 3rd grade right now. It's creative writing, right? So writing a story that includes 10 nouns and 5 verbs. It's not really like they're not writing essays yet. Which in the public school system, they are in the 3rd grade writing essays, but they're a hot mess. I think this is slowly easing them into that. Julie, we start cursive in the beginning of 2nd grade, and that is also included. Let me show you this light unit. What I was just showing you for our language arts, this Christian Light. also includes cursive. I forgot to mention that. I'm glad you just said that. Let me show you. And it starts in the 2nd grade, level 2. Hold on. I have like so many books everywhere right now. But yeah, beginning of 2nd grade. I'll show you when I can find it. Here it is. Yeah, and then this is cool too. The 3rd grade Christian Light, even though they've already learned all their cursive letters, it's having them go back and review all of their cursive writing in the 3rd grade. So they learn it in the 2nd grade and then they review it in the 3rd grade. Alex, that is a very good curriculum. All about reading. If you're not familiar, it follows something called the Orton-Gillingham method of reading. And it is really good for kids with dyslexia, or even if your kid does not have dyslexia, it's a great program. I just personally don't use it because we ended up using this, but that is a reputable one and one that I would trust. A lot of private schools use it. I'm trying to show you her cursive is what I'm looking for. Yeah, so Joanna with the evaluations, hey Maria, when I do my evaluations, you send me an e-portfolio, so you don't have to have a binder with the tabs and all, nothing like that. You literally send me pictures of your child's work from the beginning of the year, and then you show me some pictures. You just email it to me from the end of the year. And as long as I see that little Johnny was doing addition in September, and by the end of the school year, now he's adding 4-digit numbers or whatever it might be, that's improvement. If you have a child who has any kind of learning disability, or some of the kids that I do evaluations for are completely nonverbal, sometimes their improvement for the year is that they got potty trained. Like seriously, there are kids that struggle with that. And if they have developmental delays or anything like that, by the end of the year, if they were not potty trained at the beginning of the year and now they're potty trained, that is growth. That is growth. Maybe your child can't hold a pencil and they can't do all the things because developmentally they have something that's preventing them from doing that. Then we show growth in other ways. There's always ways to show growth. The only time I've ever denied anybody with the homeschool evaluations is when I sensed like severe neglect, which that was the whole crazy situation. Or the parent just literally didn't send me work. And I'm like, well, I can't say that your kid made growth if you're not sending me anything. But super easy, super, super easy. I'm very, very chill with my evaluations. Some people love that, some people hate that. But because I was a former teacher, I know what's going on in the system. So it's like, you're homeschooling, your kid's getting one-on-one attention. I'm happy, show me the growth, we move on. Ooh, these bins are the best. These bins are from, I'm pretty sure I have them on my little Amazon thing. I don't think I can say that out loud, but whatever, it's on there. And they're, I don't know if you can see this, but they have these dividers, these plastic dividers that you can move the dividers however you want. So because I have so many kids using the same program, like my kindergartner, my 1st grader stuff is in the front of this bin, my 3rd grader stuff is in the back. Yeah, but they're big. Like they take up a lot of space. Like you can see that blue one, how far back it goes. I think it's 12 inches deep. But you look at all that. Look at everything I can fit in there. And then the ones on the floor, there's more. Look at all the light units I can fit in there. The Christian light units. So I've tried every bin under the sun, and they're expensive. But they're from a company called Really Good Stuff, but I just get them on Amazon. All right, I'm going to scroll up because I know I'm missing a million comments. No, The Good and the Beautiful is the one that I just really don't like. Really don't like. I'm sorry, the comments are going so fast. I was going to read one and then went away. Oh, let me start at IXL. And after the test, my son tested about grade level for math, but a grade lower for reading. So what I would do in that case, and that's okay, that happens a lot, where you think they're on one grade level and they're actually lower. That's okay. The good thing is that, number one, you found out. Most parents go their whole child's academic career without ever knowing what level they're on, which is so sad, right? Because parent-teacher conferences are not like how they used to be. They don't even really happen that much anymore. But anyways, if your kid took that IXL test and they scored below grade level, that program, IXL, if you stick with it, it will give them daily practice work and videos and all the things to go along with it, just for those skills that they specifically struggled on during that test, to bump them up. And then you can actually keep taking that diagnostic test. Like I would take it every 3 months, 2 to 3 months, and see how they're improving. Even if your kid like hates you, like, oh, I'm going to take this test again, whatever. It's for their own good. And it's not going to be forever. You're just doing it for this first year to get them back up to grade level. And then you can chill a little bit. But the fact that you even did the test and you know where your kid is at is a good thing. Is IXL a curriculum or just testing? But surprisingly both. I always only used it for testing. Like I only use the diagnostic test, but it really is a full curriculum. They have workbooks to go along with it. They have video lessons. I was just doing a video lesson with my 5-year-old yesterday on it. I couldn't believe it. They have games, and it's math, language arts, and science. They have a science too. All the things I never even knew. No, I'm not sponsored. This is educational purposes only. I have to keep saying that. I'm going to move my little thing down too. We are not loving the Christian Light reading one. Yeah, so Tina, we just dropped it. I know how you feel. Like it's sweet and I feel like they're getting those comprehension skills and whatever, but it's just a lot. And it's a lot of repetition from the language arts. Like if I do a language arts with my kid lesson with my kid that day and then I open up the reading and it's like almost the same stuff all over again, it seems like double work. So we just dropped the reading. We're just sticking with the language arts and I'm just filling in reading in other ways, right? That 5 in a row, reading stories together every day, that kind of thing. When you test with IXL, are the results private? So they'll get emailed to you and they pop up on your parent dashboard. But do you mean like, do they get submitted to the state? No. As a matter of fact, if you are in a state that requires testing at the end of the year, a lot of states will allow you to use IXL as your testing program, but you have to submit the scores to your state. It's not like they can just log in and grab them. What you're doing is amazing. Oh, thanks, Aubrey. It's honestly so much easier for me to just hop on a live and be able to answer questions because I feel so bad like with the comments and all my different social channels. I know I'm missing so many questions and even emails. I'm so hard for me to keep up with emails, but at least if I hop on live, I can like answer questions as I go. That's what I'm doing. We started Christian Light last year, but skipping the reading. I know, I feel bad. Like there's a Christian Light Education parent Facebook group that's really good if you're not a part of it. It's called Christian Light Education Families. It's on Facebook. There are so many people, myself included, who will post in there and be like, hey y'all, do we really need to do language arts and reading, or like, should we just do one or the other? And there are a lot of hardcore Christian Light veteran families who are like, you have to do both. You have to, don't skip. But like for me, I don't know, like we're not doing the reading this year and my kid still scored in the 90th percentile on her state testing, just with the language arts and then us doing just reading books together with the 5 in a row. So now I would not feel comfortable dropping language arts because this is like your meat and potatoes. This is your grammar, your spelling, your phonics. And if you don't have your phonics skills down, you're not going to be able to read anyways. So stick with the language arts and forget the reading if it's becoming too much for you. Brainchild, are you talking about the easy peasy all-in-one, the free, where you can print out your own? Is that the one you're talking about? Because there's actually 2 easy peasies that I've learned. Yeah, that's the one you're talking about. I think that is a great resource. I think it's awesome, especially like if you're just starting out and you just need something quick and it's free. And I do know families that have used easy peasy all-in-one all through the years. The only thing is just make sure you're going back to your state, whatever state you're in, checking your state standards to make sure you're hitting all the standards for that year, which I know a lot of homeschool families like say, oh, don't worry about the standards, like whose standards or whatever. But if you have to be realistic. There is a possibility that your kid might have to go back into the school system, right? Something could happen to you, your family, financially, whatever. You can't stay home. Your kid's got to go back into school. I want my kid to be prepared. So yes, we are going to pay attention to the state standards because if my kid has to go back into school, I don't want to set them up for failure. That's just my opinion. So I would, with the easy peasy, free resources, you print it out all yourself, or some people don't even print it. If you have an iPad, you can just write directly on the screen. Also, if you're in a state that requires you to keep your child's work on file with easy peasy, if you are printing it out, just throw it in a folder and then you kind of have like your own little curriculum book, but it's just the stuff that you printed out. Yes, so Riley, you could use like IXL could be your language arts, math, and science, and then your time for learning could cover social studies, I don't know, whatever other, I think time for learning even has electives on there now. But yes, you could use them both together. Some people use IXL all just by itself. Time for Learning is one you could just use all by itself, or you could just use Time for Learning as your main curriculum and only use IXL for that diagnostic testing, because Time for Learning does not have a monthly or quarterly diagnostic test that you can take, sadly. Maybe they will one day. Is IXL and Acellus better as a full curriculum? So personally, Acellus/Power Homeschool is a true full-blown real curriculum with every single subject. IXL, my whole life, I always looked at IXL as more of like a little like supplement, like you tutor with it. If your kid's struggling, you can use certain things, but it is growing. Like that program has improved a lot over the years. Now they have workbooks to go along with it. So I think you could use IXL as a full curriculum if you wanted to, but it's just math, language arts/reading, and science. With the other one, like Acellus and Power Homeschool, you're getting all the subjects. And Acellus Academy is accredited, meaning you'll get a diploma at the end. They do your transcripts for you. And so that's a plus for a lot of families. IXL, you're not going to get a diploma and transcripts at the end. You'll get reports that show that your kid finished algebra or whatever they took, but then you would have to go in and do your own transcript. I was going to ask about Christian Light. What do you think about the math and science? So I'm obsessed with the math curriculum. We've been using the math curriculum now for 2 years. This saved my child. She was supposed to be in the 2nd grade going into the 3rd grade, and her math was not good from doing the good and the beautiful. And so I actually backed her up to the 1st grade math. We backed up an entire year, and this filled in all the gaps that she was lacking, and now she is back up to where she needs to be. She just did her IXL diagnostic test and scored 87th percentile for math, and that's a kid who had to go back an entire grade level in math thanks to this curriculum. And now she's scoring right where she needs to be. Okay, Grace, we actually used Beast Academy for a while, and I have a Beast Academy. I'll show you. The Beast Academy is very cool. And I know what you mean from like a Christian perspective. Like I don't get demon or demonic vibes from this, if that's kind of what you're alluding to. Like, yeah, I know they're like creepy monsters or whatever, but I didn't get that vibe at all. And because it's math, it's like, you know, they're not learning about creation. So I felt good about this curriculum. Now, this is called Beast Academy, and this is cool. They have an online component as well. So if you don't want to do the workbooks, you can do it all online, but it's very engaging. So if you've got a kid who really likes like the comic book style, this is a math lesson right here. What you're looking at, it goes through the story. Hey, Melissa, thank you. And this actually is teaching your kid the concept, the math concept, through comics. And they're like funny, right? Comical. And then they can hop online and they can do the math activity that goes along with the comic book story. My best friend's daughter uses this, and she is a math whiz. This is a lot of like problem solving, puzzles, critical thinking. This is not your basic carry the one when you're adding double-digit numbers. You know what I mean? Like this is like this is a whole different thing. So if you've got a kid who like maybe learns a little differently, or if you've got a gifted child, like actually labeled gifted through the school system or whatever, this is a good one to look into, Beast Academy. And no, this did not concern me at all from like a Christian perspective. Horizons, we use Horizons for our preschool, and I love it. We did use Horizons for the kindergarten phonics, though, and I thought it was like way too, moving way too fast. But we love the Horizons preschool, which I have right here. And we have Horizons Health. I like their health program. Horizons is good. That is one that you can go up there and click that. I can't say it out loud. And there is a, I don't know how to say it. There's a discount thing. What do you use for preschool? So preschool, that was that Horizons. I don't know if you were in here when I was saying it, the Horizons preschool. But then once my kids turn about 4.5, that is when we move into the Christian Light Education kindergarten. So this is the teacher's guide. So the kindergarten teacher's guide, and then with Christian Light Education, it's all these paper workbooks. I'll show you. Hold on. These little paper workbooks. This is the kindergarten level. So very cute, you know, coloring, shapes, numbers, letters, very, very basic, sorting, that kind of thing. And then once they get into the level 2 of kindergarten, it picks up speed. So if it feels babyish at first, it kind of is, but then it eventually picks up speed. Okay, Grace, I have not personally used Sunlight, but there is a secular, non-religious, non-faith-based version of Sunlight called Bookshark that is super cool. And now that I'm getting into more of like the Charlotte Mason style of homeschooling with that 5 in a row curriculum, I kind of wish we would have dabbled in Sunlight a little bit, because you're using the stories and pulling the lessons from the stories kind of like the 5 in a row, which I love that. But I just haven't personally used it. Morgan, we tried Time for Learning, and I liked Time for Learning. I thought it was really good. I liked the reports that I got emailed to me. So Time for Learning is one of those where it's like you either absolutely love it and you use it all the way through high school, which a lot of people do and their kids are doing just fine, or people like absolutely can't stand it. I liked it. I thought it was good. Oh, the Tuttle twins. Yeah, we haven't used it like as a legitimate curriculum, which you could, but I do love the Tuttle twins books. What is the appropriate age for the 5 in a row? So 5 in a row goes all the way, I think it goes all the way to high school. The one that I was showing you though is the volume 1. And this is like ages 5 to 9, it says, right? So in the front of all the 5 in a row books, it tells you the age range. And that's a pretty big range, 5 to 9. But the stories that she chooses to go along with each lesson, it's good for that range. Like my 5-year-old is enjoying this just as much as my almost 9-year-old. They're both using the volume 1 together. Time for Learning seems a bit too easy. I'm curious what grade level you're using. We used it for a little bit for 2nd grade, and I thought it was all right, but that's the only experience I really have with it. Andrea, we like the Horizons math for kindergarten. So this one right here. I like the Horizons math for kindergarten. The kindergarten Horizons phonics, that was the one I was showing earlier, this one, I did not really like. I thought it just, I don't know, it just moved very fast and we were learning a lot at once and it like wasn't good. The math though, I do like. Megan, we use LifePack for our Bible, and I've actually been using our LifePack Bible as like family style, like sitting down with them with the workbook and just doing it all together. And it's super cute. I have not used it for any of the other subjects though. But by the way, LifePack, Horizons, and Monarch, those 3 programs are all under the umbrella of AOP. These 3 letters, AOP. That company is Horizons, LifePack, and Monarch. Some people don't realize that they're all together. So if you ever see me make a video, I have a whole playlist of AOP curriculum. It'll have, usually they're the sponsored ones that you see, and that's the one I can like have the discount thing for it if you wanted to look into that one. But this is what I'm trying to say. Even if you see a sponsored tag on a video, do not freak out. Like I'm very honest with, yeah, we tried the phonics. We didn't really like it. Sorry. But I'd be happy to promote your LifePack because we actually use it and like it. It's kind of one of those deals. No, sweetie Amanda, I do not have any kind of discount code for Christian Light. I swear, I just love that curriculum so much. I just talk about it for free. I wish I could have something. Okay, so social studies for my 2nd grader it's all coming from this. So like when we did the flags of the different countries and the history of, we did a World War II thing recently with one of the stories that we read. That's all coming from this, 5 in a row. Can you do learning to read and language arts 1 separately? That is exactly what we are doing this year. You are not supposed to. Technically, when you do the, and I'll show you, I'm just gonna put all this on the floor. Okay, when you are doing this learning to read program, when you get about halfway through this program, you're supposed to add in the language arts level 1 and then do them together. That is what I did with my first daughter, but your days are going to be very, very long because between this lesson and the language arts lesson, it took us forever. So now what I'm doing is I will start them in this program a little bit early, like age 5 instead of 6. And then we will do all 10 of these light units and then do the language arts one. And then we don't do any more of the reading curriculum with Christian Light because it just became too much. So just learning to read, then we add in the language arts one at the end. I didn't realize I was only doing a half a lesson. Was that with Christian Light? Let me go back up. We ended up behind. Oh, were you looking at the sessions? Because that confused me too. With Christian Light Education, it'll say like session 1 and session 2, and it's actually all supposed to be done in one day, not in different days. Yeah, I did that. I know exactly what you're talking about. That same thing happened to us. And the reason why they have the lessons broken down into sessions, number one, yes, you can take a break. Like, okay, we're going to take a break, go get a snack, do your thing, come back. But also, this curriculum is used in a lot of private schools. So from a teacher's perspective, it's like session 1, go to PE, go to art, music, whatever, then come back and do session 2. So that's why you see that. Sam, we are not doing classical conversations anymore. We did it for 3 years. And I have a playlist on my thing. I have a bunch of videos about it. It was more of like a co-op for me. I was like, let's go, let's make friends, like, let's have other homeschool friends, whatever. The program itself, the curriculum I liked. My kid learned a lot of history and science with it. But from like a corporate side, like my very best friend was a director and she kind of saw things from the inside. I don't know, just there was some sketchy stuff. So that was for our personal area though. It's worldwide. And if you find a good community, I say do it. Okay, so Megan, rundown of my day. I was showing my schedule, but now all my stuff is all over the floor. So the way that our day looks, and this is with 4 kids, ages 8, 5, 3, and 1. We wake up, we hang out, we eat breakfast, they do their morning chores, which their morning chores is like brush teeth, get dressed, pick up your room a little bit. It's no big deal. And then they basically play, usually Barbies, until 9:15-ish. At 9:15, I call my oldest daughter to the table and we sit down to do our core lesson for the day. And that's either going to be math or language arts, never both. So Monday is a math day. So when she comes to the table, I have the math ready. It looks like this. It's the math Christian Light Education. I have my teacher's guide open. She has her workbook open and we start math together. The cool thing about Christian Light is that you see down here where it says, I can do this. Every single lesson with Christian Light Education has a section that they can do completely on their own because it's all stuff that they've already learned. Once I get my oldest daughter to that part where she can just go independently, that's when I send her away. Usually this is about 9:30, 9:40, about 20 minutes of one-on-one time. Then I call my 5-year-old to the table, and that's when we do our first grade, either math or language arts, depending on what day it is. Then I'm pretty much with her the whole time. Like she can't do much independently at 5 years old. The whole time I'm doing this with my 2 oldest daughters, my 3-year-old is either on the iPad doing Splash Learn, Reading Eggs, Vooks, Vooks is a cool book app. She's just on the iPad. I feel bad. I know it's not good. Sometimes I'll just let her play Barbies the whole time while I'm working with my oldest ones. My 3-year-old has really been getting screwed lately. I feel bad. But she's doing her own thing. And then the 1-year-old is like on my lap or bebopping around doing her thing. Once my 5-year-old is done, hopefully my 8-year-old and 5-year-old are done at the same time in a perfect world, that is when we all come together on the couch and we read our 5 in a row story. Whatever the book is for the day, like this week was this book. So we sit down on the couch, we read the whole book together, and then we do the activity together from here. Science, social studies, history, we do it all together. And then we're done for the day. Usually by 12 o'clock, we are out the door, down by the creek, playing, digging, eating lunch, whatever we do. And that's it. So because I'm schooling year round, we don't take a summer break, we go year round, I am able to only focus on one subject per day instead of, okay, we're done with math, now let's do language arts. Because that was just becoming a lot with 4 kids, trying to do all the subjects in one day. Now, when they get into middle school and high school, like, yeah, maybe we will transition to something online where they're able to do all the subjects in one day. But right now when they're young, this is like more important to me, like curling up on the couch together, reading the book. Today, the activity I was saying earlier was they got to write a story about a machine or something that has personification, human-like qualities. Anyways, that's beside the point. This is like the fun part of our homeschool. The core work comes first, and then we do the fun stuff. Yeah, Morgan, year-round. I cannot imagine the stress that I would be under if we didn't homeschool year-round and I had to fit everything into 10 months. At what time of day should I start homeschooling? Well, Claudia, honestly, like, there are a lot of homeschooling families that I personally know that start homeschooling at 5:00 p.m. when mom gets off work. Like, literally, they do school from 5 to 8 p.m. every single night. Like, I don't really think the time matters. Like, I homeschool 3 hours a day, 9:30 to 12:30. Maybe you're homeschooling 3 hours a day, but it's 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. I don't really think the time of day matters. Now, the only thing I could see like maybe being an issue is if, let's say you're going to homeschool 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., but all day long, your kid's just watching TV, right? They're just sitting watching TV or on the iPad or whatever all day long, and then they do 3 hours of school at night. I don't like, is that really an efficient way to spend your whole day? No. So like, I think it kind of depends, but I don't really think the time of day matters. We homeschool after lunchtime. We like our slow mornings. Yes. You know what? I would homeschool later in the day like that and have a slower morning. The only thing that screws us is that at 4 p.m., we're out the door for jujitsu 3 days a week. So I kind of feel like I got to get it done earlier. But if we didn't have anything to do in the evenings, if we didn't have jujitsu class, I would do the same thing. I'd probably start around 11, 12 and go till about 3. That would be ideal in my world if I didn't have to get them out the door for their activities in the afternoon. Having a hard time getting back into the rhythm after winter break. It's honestly, Alex, I do not, like, we're struggling. We are struggling. You should have seen my husband, was it yesterday? I was saying earlier, like, we only took 3 days off, like New Year's, we took Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off. And all of a sudden, my 5-year-old yesterday, she's doing her Christian Light Math, what I was showing you here, and she had a full freaking meltdown because she couldn't remember if the plus sign or the minus sign was for adding. I mean, it was like full blown. And I'm looking at my husband like, am I in the Twilight Zone right now? Like, what? We've literally been doing this since August. What do you mean you don't know what the plus sign is? So I had enough. We shut the book, and I actually put her on the computer to do a bunch of addition and subtraction problems on the IXL program because I was so stressed out. So my point is, I think we're all going through it, like after a long break. Teachers are going through it too. When I was a teacher, after winter break was hell, which is, I actually say in a lot of my videos, like if you want to pull your kid out of school doing it, like you pull them out right before winter break and you just don't send them back after winter break, because the week after winter break is such a shit show in the classroom anyways. Like what we experience as homeschooling parents trying to get back on track. Imagine having 25 kids in a class that are all dealing with the same thing. They're all sleep deprived, depending on the moon cycle, full moon, whatever. Anyways, I'm rambling, but it's an issue with us as well, especially when they know how to do it. I'm looking at her and I'm like, she's looking at this plus sign and she's like, I don't know if do I add or do I minus with the plus sign? I couldn't even answer her question because I was so like, what? Did you really just ask me that? But it is hard to get back on track. And I always, we have to keep reminding ourselves, like, she's 5 or however old your kid is, even my 8-year-old, she's the oldest daughter. So I have very high expectations for her, but I have to keep reminding myself, like, she's only been on this earth for 8 years. That's it. She's only been on this earth for 8 years, even though she's the oldest. And I feel like I've had her for 20 years or whatever. I'm wanting to homeschool, currently have my kids in public school. My always first number one advice is you find out your state laws, like what your requirements are. And it's super easy. There's a bajillion websites out there that have all the state laws for homeschooling, and every state is different. They're not all the same. But find out, like some states, you can just pull your kid out of school, literally not say anything, pull them out, never send them back, and you don't have to ever tell anybody. Other states are like, hey, you got to send in this letter, a letter of intent. I have one on my page if you need one. It's a free copy. And you just submit it, And then, you start homeschooling. You might have testing to do at the end of the year. You might have to, some states even have quarterly check-ins where you have to do like submit progress reports and stuff. So find out your state laws. If your kid is in like a dire situation, they're in school and they're being bullied, or they're having daily meltdowns, panic attacks, whatever. Like if it's like a dire situation, pull them out. What are you waiting for? Your child's mental health is more important. But if you feel like you have a little time and you're like, yeah, I think I might wait till the summer to pull them out, spend this time learning your state laws, researching curriculum. I have a bajillion videos on my page where I'm like going step by step of like exactly how you can find curriculum, do a schedule, do all the things. But don't wait. Like don't feel like, oh my gosh, my kid is having daily panic attacks going to school, but I'm going to wait till the summer to pull them out. Like why? Even if you're working full time and you got to take little Johnny to work with you every day just to keep him in a safe spot while he reads books or whatever, that is still more important to me than just keeping them in like a serious situation like that. I am in North Carolina. Yeah, but you'll hear me talk about Florida a lot because I came from Florida and I do the homeschool evaluations for Florida. So my teacher certification is for Florida and I still do the homeschool evaluations for them. So that's why you'll hear me talk about that. So Paige, you can get free curriculum. There are free curriculum websites. There's one called Easy Peasy All-in-One. Easy Peasy All-in-One. You just print it out. Even the good and the beautiful, even though I don't like it, it's better than nothing. And you can actually print out their curriculum for free. Oh my gosh. I feel like it's called like freecurriculum.com, or it's like something with the word free in it. You know what? Go to ChatGPT and just type in free curriculum options. And I am sure you will get a huge list that I cannot think off the top of my head. Oh, you are in Florida and you pulled your kids out of your school district because it's bad. Yeah, it's depending on, like, I was in a pretty decent county. Like on paper, I was in one of the best counties for education in the state of Florida. And that is a scary fact because what I saw was not good. Okay, Gigi, if you do not have a diploma or a GED and you want to homeschool your child, sometimes it is perfectly fine and it doesn't matter. Other times the state says, no, you need to have one of those things. So you've got to look and see if your state requires it. Some states do not require it at all. Like it does not matter if you have a high school diploma or a GED as the homeschooling parent. Some states do require it. So look into that. Oh, and you're in New Mexico. I don't know off the top of my head New Mexico law, but HSLDA, those 5 letters, HSLDA.org. You can look up your state laws. You can just go to the New Mexico Department of Education website. It's probably nmdoe.com or something like that. You can find your homeschool laws and it will tell you if you need to have any kind of credential to homeschool your kid. If you do not have a high school diploma or a GED as the parent, but you want your kid to be homeschooled, some states even have exceptions where, okay, you can't be the sole teacher, but grandma can, or Aunt Becky, or what a homeschool co-op teacher that, has homeschool kids come to their house and they do lessons. So some states have wiggle room like that. Don't let that feel like you can't do it because of that. And if those of you are on here thinking, well, whoa, they don't even have a GED or high school diploma, why would they ever homeschool their kid? No, listen, my master's degree, my bachelor's degree, my elementary education certifications did not do much for me as a teacher or as a homeschool mom. It's the experience that matters. And again, the teacher's guides that you're going to read from when you homeschool your kid, they're going to tell you everything to say and do with your kid. So it doesn't matter if you have, as long as you can read. If you are a parent that can read, you can homeschool your kid. I missed it. A few letters. I had a kid looking at doing CC. Yeah, CC, a first year this year. And I feel like that's missing. I think I might have missed some of that, but you're doing CC the first year this year. I had a good experience with CC. I got jaded because I learned a little bit too much about the behind the scenes stuff going on because of my friend being the director. That is the true issue. Okay, New Mexico needs a Susanna, thank you for looking that up. So New Mexico does require a GED or high school diploma. do they have the exception where it's like you have to be the, do you have to be the biological parent to homeschool? Gabrielle, if I could not homeschool year round, I would adopt more of like a school system schedule, sadly, but it's still okay because your kid is still going to benefit because they're one-on-one with you and not in a classroom of 25 kids. But I probably would do like, my kids always seem to do better with math in the mornings. So I would maybe break my day in half. Like from 9:30 to 10:30, we're going to do math. From 10:30 to 11:30, we're going to do science. We're going to take a break for lunch and then play, do whatever. And then maybe around 1:30, come back and do whatever subject, social studies, whatever I didn't say, reading, language arts, and then maybe be done by about 4. But definitely have like a big break in the middle. If you're not able to homeschool year round, then you're probably going to want to do all the subjects every day to get your grade level done in a year. It says the parent or legal guardian must possess a high school diploma or GED. So it sounds like in New Mexico, you do have to be the parent or guardian with the GED or high school diploma to homeschool your kid. So in that case, I might look into what's called umbrella schools or co-ops that have certified teachers. I feel like there's got to be a way. It's got to be a way. Oh, missing the community part and looking into CC. I see what you're saying. And yes, totally understand that. If it was not for us doing jujitsu here 3 days a week with all the homeschoolers in the area and making friends that way, we would be in some kind of co-op for sure, because I miss that community as well. I just started homeschooling my son and he takes so long to complete a task. Brenda, we invested in, I know this is gonna, some people are gonna freak out when they see this. Everybody always does in my videos. We invested in one of these. Okay, and this actually, when I set the timer, like if I say, okay, you've got 15 minutes to finish your reading or your math, the color will start to disappear as the timer counts down. So if they don't understand their numbers or they don't understand whatever, they know colors. And when that blue starts going away, they know they have less time. The thing is, it's like, okay, let's say the timer goes off and they didn't finish. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna let them finish. So does the time, I think the timer is more of like a psychological thing. That's why a lot of people freak out when I show this in my videos. But you only have to use this for a few weeks just to get them in the mindset of, hey, I don't have all day to finish this. And then we don't even barely use this anymore, right? They just know that, hey, if you wanna go out and play at 11:30 with your siblings, with your sisters, in my case, you need to finish your work. So, but I know what you mean. It takes them freaking forever. I feel like it's because we're the parent. So like they know, did this just do something? Oh, because we're the parent, they know that they have like, I don't know, wiggle room or something. Would you still use 5 in a row if I didn't do year round? Yes, absolutely. It is that good. It is that good. 5 in a row is like like I will always pat myself on the back for taking the leap to start 5 in a row, because it is not, 5 in a row is like not my style. I am very like systematic. I want the teacher's guide. I want to know exactly what I'm doing every day. And 5 in a row is like, you have a lot of freedom and flexibility, and that's like not me, but it has brought a lot of closeness back into our homeschool. I mean, we're like cuddling on the couch, reading every day together, talking, discussing, it says my internet's going weird. But it's like the discussion questions that she puts in that 5 in a row curriculum, like after you read the story together, she'll have discussion questions. They're so like deep, not in like a weird way, just good questions that I would never even think to ask my own kids to like get to know them better. They're getting to know me better. Oh my gosh, you know what one of the activities was? So cute. We read a story together about grandparents. It was like the kid had a grandfather that she loved. And the activity for that day was for my kids to call up their grandparents, and it was an interview. Grandma, what's your favorite color? Grandpa, what's your favorite song? Grandma, what's your favorite food? And like, I think I have it in here. It was, look at this. I gotta show you. I need to make a video about this. It was so sweet, because that is not something that I would ever think to do. Look at this. This is my 3-year-old. The snowy day. You guys remember that story? That's part of the 5 in a row curriculum. I gotta find that grandparent interview though. It was so cute. So that's what I mean by like more meaningful. You know what I mean? Liz 5, oh, here it is. Look, I'll say it in a second. This was the interview. I know it's a hot mess. So they asked favorite color. Grandma said purple, Grandpa said brown, Nana, they have 2 sets of grandparents. Nana said blue, Papa said blue. They wanted to know, would you rather have cranberries or raisins? And they had to call up their grandparents and ask them. So stinking cute. Okay, so Liz, you were asking about the 5 in a row. I have a playlist on my page that goes over all of it because it's like it's hard to explain, but it's a homeschool curriculum that the author of this curriculum, 5 in a row, this is volume 1, but they have volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, and you don't have to do them in order. There's a book list of all these classic stories. Some of you might recognize this. And you just go to the library and get them, or you can buy them. I bought them. And then every day you sit down on the couch together, you read the story together 5 days in a row. Yes, you read the same story 5 days in a row, but it's okay. They're cute stories. And then you go into your teacher's guide and there's activities to do, like the grandparent interview. There's science activities, videos to watch that she recommends. Last week, I could go on about this. Last week, we learned all about the mountains of Appalachia and all about old Appalachian living and how people used to live. There was a movie that she recommended we watch. They did an Appalachian coloring sheet to go with the activity. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I'm saying. It's like very meaningful lessons that we're doing each day. Is it super rigorous? Is it going to get my kid into Harvard? I don't know, maybe, but we're also doing the Christian-led education, math, and language arts, so I feel good. No, I'm in North Carolina. I'm in the mountains of North Carolina, which Appalachia actually is encompassing a whole huge area. And so sometimes when people see my videos of me walking through my woods here on our property, people are like, oh, don't you know the old Appalachian, like spooky stories about like hearing the whispers in the woods and all the creepy stuff. Like, I have not experienced anything like that. We've had good experiences. Ivy, in North Carolina, it's like we do have to do some stuff. You send in a letter of intent to your school district saying, hey, we're going to homeschool. And then we do have to do state testing at the end of the year. You just do it on your own at home, though. And then you also do have to have some kind of like attendance record. So for me, it's just my daily schedule. Like, my daily schedule is my attendance record. These are in my calendar. I just write the days that we homeschooled. But that's it. So it's not like crazy in North Carolina, but it's also not nothing. Okay. I am going, if you're not following me, everything I'm talking about, I have a video for. I'm telling you, I got a playlist, I got a video. Make sure you're following me. If you have questions, Facebook is honestly where I've been posting mostly lately because TikTok pay is not good. But I do come on here on the lives on Thursdays. So I try to schedule them ahead too, so you'll see like the little live event pop up. But I'm going to go because my phone is dying. My microphone is dying. So I got to go charge everything. So if you're not following me, make sure you're following me. Again, my playlists, I try to organize all the videos into the different curriculums. My YouTube, my Facebook, my Instagram is like, but whatever. All the videos are on there. And then any resources like coupon code stuff that I have up on my page, the letter of intent. If you need a letter of intent, free download, just print it off my website. What else? Free schedule thing, my schedule template that you saw. You just download it for free, but you just put your email in the thing and it'll email it to you. What am I missing? All the things. So just go find the playlist and I promise it's on there. Okay. So I will see you all next Thursday, same time, 3 p.m. Now that the holidays are over, I'm going to try to stick with the 3 p.m. every Thursday. That seems to do well for most people. And my kids are sleeping usually at 3. Well, the younger ones are sleeping. So, all right. Thank you all. And yes, I'll see you next Thursday, and then just go check out those playlists.